It's spring elections week here on campus and hall touring is back. A chance for candidates to talk to students directly right in their kitchens about what they think about the elections and about their candidacies. Well, I simply couldn't resist getting involved in this myself. So I thought on this afternoon I might engage in a little bit of hall touring. George, obviously SU Elections week on campus here this week. How are you finding it so far?
Well, it's my first year, so
okay.
It's all sort of new to me. I will say I'm surprised there has been more outreach about.
We are back. Welcome to the Big Decision 2022 with me, Cam Hall, the head of news here at Raw 12:51 AM.
Yeah, and me, Rebecca Cole, the head of Raw. I nearly said the head of Raw. See, I nearly said that. The head of arts at Raw. A great start to the Big Decision this year. You can tell it's been a long week for me, and
very long
week. Longer week for those campaigning this week. But we can reveal that your votes have been counted, and over the next couple of hours we will be giving you the results of the next SU officers.
Indeed, much excitement coming this evening. By 9:45 PM this evening, you will know the identity of all of your full-time and part-time officer team next week. It's all, of course, building up as well to the president as well at 9:30 this evening, as well as the rest of your full-time officers and your part-time officers too. Plus, throughout the week as well, we're going to be bringing you a little bit of some campaign highlights as well, some exclusive interviews with your current officer team as well.
So much good stuff coming up, and all of this coming live from the SU. Isn't it great to be back?
I've missed this. I have missed this so much indeed. And of course, wherever you're tuning in from right now, whether that of course be live on Raw 12:51 AM, radio.warwick.ac.uk, across our social media platforms as well, our YouTube channel, and because this show is a little bit too important to stay on the small screen, we are on the big screen on the piazza. So hello to everyone who can see us on the piazza right now. I hope you're loving us. Hope our voices aren't going to get too annoying for the next hour, 45 minutes.
Massive on there.
Yeah. My face will have never been so big-headed in my life. Yeah.
But yeah, so we've got that. Check that out on the piazza. But wherever you're tuning in for, make sure you're following us on social media. The usual drill if you've been on Raw, like, let's plug it. Okay,
we say it all the time.
First of all, Raw 12:51 AM, Raw News at Warwick, and the hashtags tonight. What are the hashtags tonight, Cam? We've got Big Decision 2022 and Warwick SU Elections 2022. Please remember to send your comments in, keep everything nice and friendly, and keep updated with what's going on this evening.
Indeed, this is going to be a fantastic evening, so stick around till 9:45 this evening. Anyway, we are getting started now with the first set of officers to announce. It is your part-time officers. Now, your part-time officers are here very much to represent a lot of the liberation communities on campus. It's their job to be running campaigns, raising awareness of a lot of the issues that face the liberation communities on campus, and really driving the change, both within the SU, but more widely within the university as well.
Yeah, like as Cam said, they are full voting members of the student council, so they play an important role in that respect. And they really come alongside us studying and have an influence over the future of the SU. So we're looking forward to announcing those.
Indeed. Now, there are there's 9 part-time officer roles, 2 of which the international students officers we announced, of course, in the autumn elections. We would normally be announcing a trans students officer tonight, but sadly no one stood in this election. But don't worry, if you want the chance to stand for trans students officer, you will get that opportunity in term 3. So make sure, of course, you're following the Warwick SU social media, taking a look on their website as well for all the information about how to stand in that election. But Rebecca, in the meantime, we have got 6 part-time officers to announce this evening. So let's get underway.
Okay, so first up, we will be announcing the Disabled Students Officer. They represent all self-defining disabled students on campus, raising awareness of issues that disabled students face around campus, particularly concerning accessibility in academic study and social events, etc. They will also be planning events for diversity awareness, which I'm looking forward to. Obviously, I'm nodding at camp, so I'm going to be here next year when that happens.
Sadly not. It will be a fantastic week, though.
For Diversity Awareness Week, and running campaigns alongside that, which I'm looking forward to. So, without further ado, your next disabled student officer is...
Saul Harvey. Unfortunately, Saul isn't here this evening, we believe, and I don't believe we've got a statement as well, but we can tell you that Saul won this election in the first round of voting.
So congratulations.
Congratulations, Saul. We look forward to seeing all of the work that you'll be doing next year. But let's move on now from Disabled Students Officer. Let's go on now to LGBTQUA Plus Officer. The LGBTQUA Plus Officer is responsible, of course, for representing all self-defining LGBTQUA plus students, raising awareness for all of the issues faced by this community, and of course doing a lot of campaigning work on the side. Perhaps the pinnacle of their role is, of course, organising events during Pride Month and Pride Week as well, and really being responsible for raising awareness of a lot of issues and, again, promoting this within the SU and the university. Okay, Rebecca, are we ready?
So congratulations to Jack Bateman for winning in the first round of the elections. We're hearing claps for
We're hearing claps.
SU.
Is Jack on his way right now? Where is Jack Bateman? There he is. Congratulations, Jack. You have won in the first round, so well done.
Thank you very much.
Before we go on, anything you would like to say quickly?
Just
take yourself on the mic.
thank you to my people who campaigned for me. It was a very tiring week, but we did a good job. I'm very thankful for them, and I can't wait to get started and try and represent a diverse group, and particularly to those who are not generally involved with SU, the Students' Union in general, and that's who I want to stand up for the most. The people who need to have a voice, but don't always feel they should get engaged.
Well, congratulations. Better luck for the year ahead, Jack.
Thank
you very much for coming on the stream tonight.
Thank you.
Awesome. In the meantime, Rebecca, I believe we are moving on to our next part-time officer now.
Our next part-time officer role to announce to the lovely audience today, and I'm excited to hear more claps around the SU. It's so nice being back in person, so nice. Is our widening participation officer. And learning about the SU roles in these campaigns, I actually found this interesting as someone who fits into the widening participation category. So they represent all students, like myself and maybe you watching, from widening participation backgrounds. This includes those from poorer socioeconomic backgrounds, those from where low progression of higher education or in their community, those who struggle to get to university, or those who were young carers, for example. It encompasses all of that, so it's an important role to represent students, especially in my opinion, at least. Alongside representing these students, they do so much more as well. The Widening Participation Officer co-chairs the university's Widening Participation Student Advisory Group, clearly a very important body
Indeed.
in the university as a whole, and becomes an exec member of the Widening Participation Students Association. Again, something clearly valued. So the next and your new Widening Participation Officer for the forthcoming year is
Kieran Barry. Kieran is on his way down, I believe. I can hear claps. I can hear claps. That's a good thing. There's Kieran.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Kieran. Please, anyone you'd like to thank, anything you'd like to say to our wonderful audience this evening?
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I just want to say a very quick thank you to my campaign manager, Dan, all of my campaigns team who have been with me through the whole journey, everyone who supported me on social media and on campus, posting stories and raising awareness of my campaign. I really do appreciate every single one of you. I think it's very difficult to remember what we're running for when we get busy with all of the campaigning and voting. And I ran for Widening Participation Officer because I'm really passionate about making the university fairer for all Widening Participation students on campus, making sure that they have a better deal and a better student experience at Warwick. And I look forward over the coming year to represent every single one of you on campus and being able to really pursue that role and do it as well as I can. Thank you very much, everyone, for voting for me.
Thank you
so
very much.
Congratulations. You like to exit out that way.
Well, that is, as we said, 3 part-time officer candidates announced so far. We're halfway through your part-time officer candidates. We've still got your environment and ethics, your women's officer and your ethnic minorities officer, plus all 7 full-time officer roles tonight. So plenty more still to come.
Definitely.
But let's get away from the part-time officers now. And, of course, one thing you've probably seen around campus this week is hall touring. Now, as being Cam Hall himself, my name kind of fits half into this. So I thought I simply couldn't resist getting involved and doing a bit of hall touring myself. It's spring elections week here on campus and hall touring is back. A chance for candidates to talk to students directly right in their kitchens about what they think about the elections and about their candidacies. Well, I simply couldn't resist getting involved in this myself. So I thought on this afternoon I might engage in a little bit of Cam hall touring. George, obviously SU Elections week on campus here this week. How are you finding it so far?
Well, that's not my first year, so
Okay.
it's all sort of new to me. I will say I'm surprised there has been more outreach about this than most SU things, I find.
I mean, I've not really seen that much campaign around, I'm not gonna lie. I know someone came into our kitchen.
But also, like, I've only seen, like, 2 potential candidates. And one of them came up to me and asked if I knew how to get into Lakeside. And that's it.
So not actually talking to you about the campaigns then, just
No.
how they get into buildings to do some hall touring?
No campaigning, just couldn't get me into Lakeside. The answer is no.
But I've seen leaflets around, the hung leaflets on our board outside.
Have you kept them around, built a little shrine for people to say SU Elections here, find your leaflets, find where you can vote?
Not really, no.
So you feel like these elections matter to you? You feel like whatever your vote is doing in this elections, it's going to make a difference to you going forward?
I would say that, yeah. I think this term does feel like it's in what matters.
Will you both be voting though? That's the most important question.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes?
Yeah. We've got most of my flat to vote.
Democracy's still in action there, very clearly.
I'm not one of the more politically involved people in terms of student politics.
Do you know what some might say that's the best place to be? Can you at least say you're going to vote this week?
Sure.
Sure, we'll take that. Solid vote. So, pretty mixed results there from Cam Hall touring, but if there's one thing I can say, every student I've spoken to, they're getting involved and they're voting in this year's spring elections, and really, that is the most important thing in our student democracy.
Welcome back to the Big Decision 2022, where we are halfway through already. Announcing the next part-time officers. Keep the conversation going on Raw's social media and across campus if you're watching us on the big screen with the hashtags #BigDecision2022 and #Warwick SU Elections 2022.
Indeed, there is no better way to be spending your evening right now. Whether you're sitting at home with a pizza, on T-bar having a few drinks, watching this election, please do get involved on social media throughout. Let us know what you're thinking about tonight's results. Well, let's go on to the next part-time officer role now. Let's go to our environment and ethics officer. Now, our environment and ethics officer is responsible for running ethical and environmental campaigns on campus, encouraging greater sustainability from students on campus, and of course lobbying the university as well to achieve effects to that end. So they'll of course be working with the university as well, particularly in accessing the Environment and Sustainability Fund to really build on sustainability projects around the whole of campus. Well, as ever, it's been a very good election, but Rebecca, who is the next Environment and Ethics Officer?
Congratulations to Aditya Dugai. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Aditya Dugar, congratulations. You are the next Environment and Ethics Officer. They'll be making their way very slowly. I believe they are not here, unfortunately, tonight.
But congratulations.
I can tell you that Aditya did win in the first round of voting, so congratulations. A
Absolute
very good job.
congratulations, yes.
A very good job. But yeah, they've done very well, so congratulations. Two to come.
Two to come already. Next, we're going the penultimate already part-time officer. I get the pleasure of announcing a women's officer, again with widening participation. I fall in that category of a woman. So it's great to see the female representation and see what they're responsible for in the uni, taking a look at what they do within the SU. They look at and look after self-defining female students and responsible for raising awareness and addressing the issues faced by female students in the SU and in the whole university. And they lobby for change and get effect of that change. They are also at the forefront of the SU's anti-sexism campaign. And this forms a lot of responsibilities in organising events and awareness within the SU, which is also a big part of what they do, is most notably during Women's Week, where obviously there's a lot of campaigning with the SU and the anti-sexism campaigning efforts. So particularly excited to see what this woman does for Women's Week. I'm excited on behalf of all of the women in the SU. So your women's officer forthcoming this year is...
It's Anaya Nihao.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please, any words of thanks, anything you'd like to say?
Okay, hi. Thank you everyone who voted for me. I really, really appreciate it. And I honestly cannot wait to start working with the SU and fellow part-time and full-time officers to make all of my manifesto campaign promises come true. And honestly, just thank you. That's all I have to say.
Appreciate your time. Thank you very much. So that was Anaya there, your new women's officer for the next academic year. Well, we've just got one
Already
position
the
to go.
final. It's
going so quick. It's scary. I'm aging by the second feeling this. But it's time now for the next part-time officer. Your final part-time officer tonight, the ethnic minorities officer. Now they represent all ethnic minority self-defining students on campus, raising awareness of all the issues faced by ethnic minority students here in the SU and within the university more widely. Of course, they'll do a lot of work on anti-racism campaigning, including things like Black History Month, for example, and are responsible for organising and really helping facilitate a lot of the SU's anti-racist campaigning efforts. Well, as ever, this has been a very close race. It was won in the final round of voting.
Who do we have to congratulate?
Ooh, well, winning in the final round of voting, please welcome your new Ethnic Minorities Officer, Maisha Hassan. Congratulations. I hear a lot of applause from the SU for you right now. Please, anything you'd like to say?
Hello everyone, I'm Maisha Hassan, your new Ethnic Minorities Officer. I'd like to thank everyone who helped me with my campaign and get my word out there to all of you. I'd like to thank all of you for making the effort and taking the time out of your day to vote for me. It really meant the world to me. I promised you all to make every ethnic minority on campus feel represented, recognized, and respected, and I will do everything in my power to accomplish exactly that. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you both too. Okay. Should I just...
Right, congratulations to all of the newly elected part-time officers. Once again, the trans student officer will be up for elections in term 3. And over to Cam.
Yes, indeed. Over to me here. On the sofa. The sofa you may have noticed in the past, this was like a principal part of our Big D coverage. It is the most relaxing place you can come to. It's a place where for our full-time officers, we're going to have a little bit of a chat with them throughout the evening. Once they've won, we're going to bring them down here, ask them what they're going to do when they get into the job for the first time, and as well, just ask them a little bit how they're feeling as well. It is a very euphoric night. But I do have to welcome my first guest onto the sofa this evening. He is the maestro of these elections this year, and I'm not saying that just because it's his job to do, but he's been out and about across the whole of campus this week, really doing a lot to bring SU democracy and bring elections to you. So please welcome to the sofa for the first time tonight, your current Democracy and Development Officer, Jacob Jefferson. Who is in the SU building somewhere? He's on his way. He's being shouted at, but he's coming. Hello, Jacob.
I thought I was on at a different time.
So,
I apologise.
That's fine.
I was right there, but I...
Jacob, it's great to have you on the sofa. Of course, last year, I don't know if this is sort of rubbing salt in a little bit. Obviously, with coronavirus last year, we never got the sofa interview. So feel this a little bit like now the sofa interview you never got.
I still got an interview with you, so
you still got an interview with me.
I got my ideal interviewee. So
thank you.
Yeah, I was the interviewee.
You didn't get the nice sofa though, and I feel that makes up for it. Well, Jacob, it's been a fantastic week here on campus. I've seen a lot of engagement from students, and I guess as Democracy and Development Officer, that must really mean a lot to you seeing the engagement we've had.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, we had over 4,000 votes in total.
That's fantastic.
Which is a really great turnout. And for the SU, it was obviously our first in-person elections in 2 years. So a lot of new things we had to get to grips with. And I'm really pleased, especially on the last day today, we had about 1,500 people vote, just even on the last day, which is really, really great. And the whole democracy team did a really great job, and all our democracy assistants as well, and they deserve credit as well for all the help they. Yeah, and I mean I say help. They led a lot of it. They did a really great job.
Indeed, this is the point I'm going to ask you, Jacob, to do some name dropping right now. Who do we have to thank from within the democracy team for everything that they've done this week?
Yaz and James, absolutely. We've worked so hard. And then, all the democracy assistants. There's like 8 of them, so I'm not going to name every single one. But the democracy assistants have done a really, really great job. And everyone else who volunteered for... we had people volunteering to help us on our voting booths around campus as well.
Indeed, the voting booths was something new that we had in this year. Of course, we've got some footage of them later on. But how did you find the voting booths, that new way of casting your vote in the election?
I think it got better as the week went on. I think at first, because it was this new thing, people didn't really know. And I think it was still a thing where they would, they wanted to see manifestos and they wanted to read a bit more about candidates before they came and voted on the booths. But as the week went on, we got really, it really increased how many people use them. And I think especially on the last couple of days we were able to have about 5 or 6 of our volunteers and our democracy assistants all on the piazza, grabbing people, engaging with people. But I was really pleased we managed to get them all around campus as well, especially in WBS, WMG, because those are places we always need to do more to reach out to.
There was always a fear coming back from coronavirus that students would lose the engagement they had with the democratic structures of the SU. They wouldn't feel that it would engage them so much. They had that year out that you kind of have that lag almost. Those fears seem to have been unfounded this week.
Yeah, I'm pleased. I think we've still got a long way to go, and we can do a lot better. But I'm pleased that I guess we showed that we're still around, and we managed to we had higher turnout than last year. And that's a good step, right? But there's still a lot more we can do.
Indeed. Just one last question, very quickly, Jacob. Of course, you will be back to announce some of the full-time officers. Indeed, you're going to be announcing the new sports officer very shortly. As a full-time officer this year, really, just what has that meant to you, and how have you felt it's really contributed towards your experience here at Warwick?
I think it's been amazing to see the other side of it, really. Especially having my 3rd year and a bit of my 2nd year, where I didn't get that university experience. It's been really valuable to me to have the extra year here, and I've learned so much about the SU and the university. And I've really loved this role, and I'll be sad to give it up as well when
I can imagine indeed. Well, Jacob, it's been fantastic having you join me on the sofa. As we should have done a year ago. We've made up for things, slowly making up as we do past COVID. Well, Jacob, you've got to go around now and announce the sports officer. Rebecca, it's back to you.
We're running about 6 minutes ahead of schedule, so as long as it's okay with all of the SU officers and no one's running in saying we can't keep going, so it's time to move on to the full-time officer roles, which is all very exciting. As we alluded, we're going to start with sports in a minute, but just an introduction to these officers. They will be working on our behalf as students throughout the year with the SU, lobbying and campaigning throughout the university and more widely throughout the community to deliver the best student experience, especially as members of RAW. We really see the effort they put in as we come into the SU HQ every day. So looking forward to seeing who these officers are and announcing them and seeing the speeches and what they want to do with the year. So great anticipation, great evening ahead of us yet. The first officer, as we have previously mentioned, that's up for election and we'll be announcing this evening is the sports officer. The sports officer is the public face of sports on campus. They are working with sports clubs and their members to encourage students to take up sports and engage with sports, and including during professional competitions. They promote physical and mental well-being throughout campus, and making sports accessible for all is one of the key goals. Now, our current sports officer, as many of you in SU Elections will be aware, Will Brewer, is currently busy with varsity. So, as we announce, here to announce the successor, please welcome to the stage your Democracy and Development Officer, Jacob Jefferson.
Yeah, me again. Am I just going straight into it? So yeah, obviously, Will, the varsity. So I'm here to announce the sports officer. And your next sports officer is Emma Birch. Well done, Emma. Is she Emma? Cool.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am honestly so grateful. I want to thank everyone who voted. I think this is a really tight election, so thank you so much. I want to thank my campaign team. So it was Max, Anthony, Hock, and Ziad. Everyone was amazing. Also, Kirsten McEwen, who helped with my song, and Charlie Godfrey, who helped a lot with me, supporting me, because it's been a very, very tough week. Also, thank you to Democracy team and everyone who obviously put on these elections and encouraged everyone to vote. Okay, thank you.
Indeed, well, Emma, come join us here on the sofa now. We've got a little bit of a time to chat about, of course, you being our new sports officer. So firstly, congratulations.
Thank you.
Actually, my first question, the song. When's it going up on Spotify? When is it going to be the next number one?
Yeah, so me and my friend Kirsten, we worked really, really hard on the song. She's an amazing singer, so I want to give her a lot of credit for that. I'll tell her to put it on Spotify.
a good song, I think, deserves to be heard. Definitely. Well, I've got to say, firstly, congrats. Well, no, we definitely don't have it here right now.
Good.
Don't worry, it's fine. I've got to say, Emma, it's been obviously a very long week.
Yeah,
we've obviously come to the end of it now. How are you feeling right now?
I'm very overwhelmed. Yeah, it's been a really, really tough week. It's been very busy, like campaigning for like 12 hours, like every day. But I'm very happy. So yeah,
that's great to hear indeed. Of course, you are president of table tennis, and you've been massively involved in sports societies at Warwick. Just talk to me a little bit more now. How has sport really defined your journey so far at Warwick?
Yeah, so sport has been like everything to me. Like since my first year, like I joined a table tennis club, I joined a football club, I joined quite a few clubs, and I love sport. Like sport is my life. Like all I like doing, I organise so many events, I do a lot of collaborations, and I honestly just can't wait to be sports officer, to be honest.
Indeed, to be fair, my biggest regret was never joining like most of the sports stuff on campus, and as you can see, it's a decision I will come to regret in many years' time. Of course, sports officer now, it's a big role. Why did you decide to run in the first place?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So the reason I actually decided to run is that I witnessed a lot of sexism in sport, and I went through it myself, and I was like, this is not acceptable, and I really want to make a platform where I can make change. And also, seeing as I've a platform at table tennis, and I've encouraged female participation, I've succeeded, and that's why I went for sports officer, because I really want to make change at Warwick. And also, it's too expensive, so like I wanted to really lobby for increased funding as well for people who like to make it more accessible. So
indeed, of course, there's a lot of priorities you've mentioned there. Is there any one thing? Of course, you mentioned sexism in sport, and obviously this was something that the BOR put a report out on earlier on the year. It's something I know that's really been discussed by a lot of people. I mean, just maybe staying on that issue very quickly. You've obviously identified it as a key priority. What really precisely are you going to be looking to do when you get in the office?
I think with sort of like exec training, I think exec training like used to be a lot more effective. I think it's been less effective the last few years. But I think implementing sort of things, acknowledging sexism in exec training, also in training for general members as well. I think just like general awareness, and obviously you can do it through talks and changing attitudes and campaigning as well. Like I've got involved in lots of campaigns as well. So. Well,
I think we've got time for a couple more questions. So, firstly, of course, you're obviously going to be continuing on with a lot of sport over the next year. Varsity, of course, is going on at the moment.
I know.
Will Brewer is, of course, looking this weekend to make sure he's not the first sports officer to lose varsity in 30 years. What will you do if Will wins this weekend to make sure that you are not the first sports officer to lose varsity in about 30 years?
I don't think we're going to lose.
I'm being optimistic. Warwick is going to win. Warwick is going to win. It's 100% confirmed. It's happening.
I mean, honestly, I think in terms of what I want to do is improve performance. Like we have really good facilities at Warwick, but I don't really feel like we make use of them. Like Warwick's not on the sporting map as much as like other unis. So I really want to like push more high performance coaching, and also it's my first year we had loads of performance club. We had loads of performance sort of sessions, and I haven't really witnessed them as much this year. And also I want to push smaller clubs to try and become performance clubs as well.
Well, absolutely. Just one last question. It's the first day in August. You're walking into your office for the first time. You may have a coffee cup from Pret. I know many people do. What is the first thing when you get in the office? What's the first thing that you're going to be doing?
I think I'm going to be speaking to everyone. I'm going to be sort of thinking about what I want to do, really map it out and figure out how I'm going to do it, figure out what I'm going to do to organise it and who to talk to, and go from there.
Indeed.
I think.
Indeed. Plenty to look forward to. Emma
Yes.
Birch, victorious in the first round
Thank you.
of this year's elections. Ladies and gentlemen, your new sports officer, Emma Birch.
Thank you.
Back to you, Rebecca.
Yeah, thanks for that, Cam. We now move on to announcing your societies officer. And I know we're running a little bit early, so I thought I'd take a little bit of time to say that, again, this is an officer position that is someone who's always in raw in the SUHQ we see as really important and integral, and I've seen personally as being on exec this year how important the society officer is to just one society, let alone the rest of the university. So this person who's about to walk through the door and we're about to congratulate, there's a lot of value on you, and we appreciate already the kind of work you're going to do. So absolute congratulations. In terms of, for those who aren't aware, in terms of what a societies officer does for the SU and for societies at Warwick, they're helping, as I said, society execs and all societies. Maybe it's someone who wants to set up a society, for example, or society execs with making decisions on potential training or budgeting or helping develop and promote events that societies may want to hold, or anything of this sort. And it's exciting to see a new person step into that role, and exciting to see what they can bring to it. They also promote, as I said, societies fair, and helping ensuring that societies are at the focal point of a lot of what the SU is for, and the student experience here at Warwick University. So to announce his successor, please we welcome the current societies officer, Shishang.
Okay. Did I just announce it?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So the winner of the society officer election is Anna Taylor.
Hi. I'd like to say thank you to everyone who voted. I kind of came into this campaign thinking I'll give it a go. It might not come to anything, but it's really cool that it did come to something. This year, my society that I'm part of Warwick Student Cinema. It literally has been a home away from home. And I cannot thank the people at Student Cinema enough for coming out and helping, because it really felt like I wasn't doing this on my own. So thank you very much to them. Thank you to the democracy team as well. They've been so lovely, and it really didn't feel as stressful as I thought it was going to be, because you were surrounded by really good people. Thank you to Ewan, my campaign manager. I wouldn't have run if it wasn't for you, and I wouldn't have won if it wasn't for you. So big love. And yeah, thanks everyone that voted.
Thanks.
Well, Anna, please come over to the sofa now. I've got to ask you, take the microphone, take a seat. Before we begin, just put it into words, how are you feeling right now?
A little bit confused, but yeah, I'm really happy. Yeah, I really wasn't expecting to get this far, so it's a really nice feeling to know that when you put effort into something, it actually sometimes pays off. Yeah.
Indeed, you've mentioned, of course, the work of a lot of yourself and, of course, your campaign team this week. Of course, you mentioned Ewan there, of course, your campaign manager. Anyone else you'd like to give a thank you to, a shout out to for this week?
Yeah, there's a few people that really came through. Ethan, always. People like Susanna and Amira just came out in full force and really didn't stop. People like that really didn't hold back, and it wouldn't have been half as easy a week as it was if it wasn't for people like that actually did come through.
No, it's always nice when you've got some friends really backing you, putting the hard yards in, and it really does show off in the end. Of course, Societies Officer is a really big role. Of course, you manage 250 to 300 societies, of course, one of them being Raw. Just thought I'd throw that one out there to start off with. What are you really looking forward to most about being Societies Officer next year?
I think seeing people doing what they're really excited about. The reason I ran is because I love the societies that I've been a part of, and I think that's one of the kind of key things about societies is that it's the things that people want to do and kind of go to get away from the stress of uni. And so I'd like to see and get involved with what people love. And I think societies is a great place to do that.
Indeed, and you mentioned Warwick Student Cinema. You called it your home away from home in your speech. Just for people, of course, a lot of people get involved in societies, and it really does become a home for so many of them. But for people who've perhaps not got involved in a society before, just tell us what your experience being in a society, having that as your second home almost, just how important is that?
It's so important. It's a place to go. It's the people. It's having something to look forward to at the end of the day and something to break up the week when uni's hard. And so
Understatement of the century.
Yeah, uni's hard, and so it's nice to have people that you can go to and know that it's a relaxation space. It's I mean, even at cinema, it can sometimes be stressful because you're trying to do something, but it's something that you can get together with other people, work towards something fun without having to feel like your entire life rests on what you do.
Indeed, and of course, societies, you mentioned that, it's very much about a team. It's about the group of people working together to make a society happen. Of course, as Societies Officer, what are you really going to be looking to do to bring the team of fantastic societies we have on campus together and really strive for them to be as good as they can be?
I think it's about communication, because I feel like a lot of SOCs nowadays are working in their little bubbles. I think it would be really nice to just kind of like pop those bubbles, reach across those borders, and just try and get people kind of talking and getting involved with each other, and seeing what everyone has to offer, because so many of our societies are doing amazing things, but no one hears about it. So, yeah.
And there's a lot of course, fantastic societies, a lot of work that they're doing. Maybe moving on to priorities now. Yes. What would you say is like your main priority, the one issue you really want to tackle as Societies Officer over the next year?
So a big part of my manifesto and my kind of campaign was trying to focus on societies that are struggling to get people involved. I know at cinema and talking to quite a few other societies, it's been a little bit trickier getting first years and second years that maybe were hit by COVID and had online learning as involved with societies as it was back in the day pre-COVID. And so struggling a little bit to kind of keep things going, keep gears turning when you can't fill an exec next year and things like that. So I think trying to reach out, make societies accessible to new students and to existing students as well, and to get people really involved. I think that's my kind of main focus.
And Didi, you mentioned COVID there, and of course, I was kind of talking to Jacob about this from the democracy side. There was always that fear that societies would struggle to rebound post-COVID, similarly to democracy. And of course, for many societies, they've been able to rebound. For many societies, they're still struggling. So you really made that a point in what you just said there. How are you going to really make sure that every society is able to bounce back from COVID, and of course many new societies can flourish as well?
I think it's just about meeting societies where they are. So you've got to appreciate that every society is different, every society is trying to achieve different things, and every society is working with a different kind of like parameter. And so kind of having good communication with each one, learning what they need, learning where we could help, and then kind of going for that.
Well, Anna, I've just got one last question for you now. Day one, you're in the office. You've sat down, you've gone to prep, you've put up your pictures in the office. I don't know, do you put like self-portraits in the office or something?
I feel like that's appropriate. Sure.
What are you going to do once you've set up your desk? What is the first thing that you're going to do on that first day in August?
I think reaching out to societies and looking forward to that societies fair at the beginning of the year and trying to get those first links going.
Indeed, there is nothing more exhilarating, exciting, potentially if it's outside again, raining, like the Societies Fair. Well, congratulations, our new Societies Officer, ladies and gentlemen, Anna Taylor.
Thank you very much. Should I just leave this in?
Leave them like that. Indeed. Well, that was Anna Taylor. We've announced now the Sports and Societies Officers this evening. But when it comes to society, there is really one that we want to be talking about right now. Rebecca, what is that society that we're hoping to talk about?
Well, the only one that matters is Raw, surely.
Absolutely.
So here is a video of the wonderful society that is Raw 12:51 AM. Check it out and see what we do.
This is your student radio station.
I learned to live half a life.
Welcome to the first Articulator.
What is the last insight of what has been the craziest academic year?
We had to decide to close the station down.
Big Nasty has just come off the stage.
Phones Now by Phil Jupitus.
So, Stuart Croft, Vice Chancellor, and as I said before, looking forward to your questions.
Hello and welcome back to Articulate. I am now joined by Wuds.
Welcome to the big decision.
Next president of Warwick Students' Union is Shingai Zambira.
To Raw's broadcast in a...
Took a big bite of a lemon with the peel on.
Okay.
Who do you think you are?
Right over there in the SU building.
This is your student radio station.
This is Raw 12:51 AM.
We are back. Yes, hello. We are halfway through the big decision this evening. Welcome back. My name is Cam Hall, the head of news here at Raw 12:51 AM. I'm joined on the sofa by Rebecca Cole, our head of arts here. We are presenting the big decision 2022. We are bringing you all of the full-time and part-time officer results this evening. You've heard all of the part-time results earlier on. We've done the first two full-time officer results. We've still got until 9:45 PM this evening. We've got postgraduate, welfare and campaigns. We've got democracy and development, education and the president, all still to come tonight. And as ever, of course, we are streaming and airing right now on Raw 12:51 AM, radio.warwick.ac.uk, across all of Raw's social media and YouTube platforms, and on the big screen as well, because the small screen is just not enough for us. Well, plenty more still to come tonight, and get involved as well throughout, may I say, across all of our social channels using the hashtags Big Decision 2022 and Warwick SU Elections 2022. Much to enjoy for the rest of the evening, but we're moving on now to the postgraduate officer. Now, postgrads make up 40% of all students here at Warwick. And the postgrad officer's job is really to make sure that all postgraduate students' interests are effectively represented by the SU. They work particularly closely with the education officer to ensure that postgrad and undergrad interests are equally represented and that it effectively delivers for postgraduate students. Well, I'm pleased to say I am joined tonight by the current postgraduate officer. Please welcome Nathan Parsons. Nathan is not here, unfortunately, so I believe, is there another sabbatical officer coming out, or am I... Shingai, do you want to come out and do this? Our former postgraduate officer and current president, Shingai Zambira, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much. So, it is a great pleasure for me to introduce our new postgraduate officer, postgraduate-elect, Hamza Rehman.
Congratulations to Hamza. Please come to the microphone. Hamza, anything you would like to say?
Not that much, but I guess thank you for everyone who did come out and vote, and then who did come out and actually campaign for me. Hoping for a more radical and more transformative students' union that actually cares about its students, and in particular postgrad students. But yeah, thank you.
Well, Hamza, if you go over to Rebecca on the sofa now, I can tell you that Hamza won in the final round with 769 votes, beating Onyinye Nkonje, who came in second with 768 votes. Rebecca.
So an absolute congratulations to begin with.
Thank you.
How does it feel to win?
It feels good. I can't lie. I'm obviously satisfied. All the hard work kind of like resulted in me winning. Like I said, I just want to thank my campaign manager, in particular, and all my campaigners and anyone who voted for me. But yeah, I'm ecstatic.
Now, obviously, you're in the end ecstatic result now, but let's take it back to the beginning. Why did you start and decide to run? How did this first come about for you?
I mean, I'm a postgrad myself, and I've seen a lot of issues when it comes to actually supporting PGT students. In particular, creating visibility for PG students is not particularly there. And more importantly, when I see the continuation of our education system being marketized, I see a lot of our PGR students kind of being seen as disposable, not being respected. And I really wanted to change that, which is why I ran. Yeah.
I mean, that's already a great campaign in itself, and clearly because you've won, it is. With that, we'll get into what you want to change in a minute, but are there any other specific issues you want to speak to that you faced as a postgrad or you saw other friends?
Yeah, I would say it's probably like loneliness. As a postgrad student, you often are on your own, and you're pretty much in your own bubble, which is quite kind of frustrating. So just trying to bridge that gap between the relationship between postgrad students and undergrad students is going to be vitally important for me moving forward. So that's something that I very much do want to change.
And in terms of other changes with the issues you face, is there anything you want to specifically speak to that will be prevalent in what you're doing in the next year?
Yeah, of course. Kind of like what I mentioned, which is one of my main priorities, which is fighting against the marketization of our education system. In particular, seeing how PGR students are treated, and actually fighting for their rights. So those who are employed by the university who undertake teaching, ensuring that they actually are supported and the university sees them as staff and actually treats them fairly. More importantly, actually supporting PGT students in terms of the education. That includes ensuring that exam timetables are released early, ensuring that there's more scholarship for, in particular, student refugees and asylum seekers as well. So I can go on about my manifesto, but hopefully I can bring that into light in this next year.
That's so exciting. And in terms of the next year, couple more questions before we wrap up and speak and announce the next winner. What are you most looking forward to?
Kind of getting started, I guess. It's very hard to actually pinpoint what I'm looking forward to. There's a lot of things I really want to change. Most importantly, actually kickstarting campaigns and supporting PG students. I think, more broadly speaking, supporting them and actually being on the ground and being visible, I think that's something I'm looking forward to in particular.
Thank you so much. And one final question for all postgrads or future postgrads listening, what one thing do you want to ensure them that you're going to do in the next year?
Literally fight for your rights. Honestly, like I see PGT students literally being treated not fairly at all in terms of how much work they need to do, in terms of those PGR students who are employed by the university, literally fighting for your rights, because it's important that PGT students are respected and treated fairly.
Well, thank you so much for coming and sitting down with me. Thank you so much. And congratulations for the win.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Hamza, indeed, our new postgraduate officer. Plentiful and well-deserved round of applause for Hamza there as we move on now to the next election result to be announced this evening. The Welfare and Campaigns Officer. The Welfare and Campaigns Officer works to develop policy and campaigns regarding student welfare here at Warwick. This covers issues including housing, mental health, accommodation, transport, everything that really ensures that students are having their welfare needs prioritised and having a good experience at Warwick as possible. They've also been working, of course, closely with a lot of liberation communities, particularly on issues like culturally competent care, for example, and running campaigns to assist liberation communities, and indeed any Warwick student on any key campaign that they will be working on over the next year. Well, I'm pleased to say, to announce the result this evening, please welcome our current Welfare and Campaigns Officer who's jumped the gun, made his way to the stage. Charlton Sayer, please. Who's taking over your role next year?
Well, I'm delighted to announce that our next Welfare and Campaigns Officer is Tommy Amole. Thank you.
Congratulations, Tommy. Please, anything you'd like to say?
Thanks a lot to my campaign team. They've been absolutely awesome. Thanks a lot to my girlfriend, Karen, who's been the most amazing campaign manager. And thanks to the Warwick student body for coming out and voting for me. I'm really excited to get started with this role.
Awesome. Well, if you make your way over to the sofa now with Rebecca, I can tell you that Tommy won in the first round with 1,340 votes, with Sueda Octay in second with 821. Well, Rebecca, the sofa and the microphone is yours.
Thanks. It's great to be here, and I like chatting to the guests. I like this part. Thanks so much for letting me steal this part of the sofa. Nice to meet you. Congratulations on your win. How does it feel initially?
Yeah, it felt good, relieving. Relieving. I was very worried going into, the fun few moments, but overjoyed really.
Well, it's all over now, and as I said with the last person I spoke to, we're in the final bit now. We're in the exciting bit. But let's take it back to the start when you first thought, SU Elections. This particular role, what made you think this was the path for you?
I guess I've been involved in sort of campaigning at Warwick previously, so it's something I care deeply about. Just thinking of the SU as somewhere where that work can kind of be furthered with the institutional power that comes with it. And I was sort of like, why not? And here we are.
So you mentioned previously that you've helped on other campaigns. What was most valuable to you? What did you really want to bring out in your campaign, above and beyond getting votes and meeting people and lobbying people to vote? What did you really want to put across to students?
I guess, a bit cheesy, but I guess my campaign slogan was "Students deserve better." And that's really the message that I was trying to get out, really, that students deserve better. And not only do they deserve better, but it's actually possible for them to get better, if we actually, if we work, if we campaign, if we organise, it's actually possible to win change for students, positive change that actually makes a material impact on their lives and the kind of university which we actually have.
That's really exciting to hear, and now that we've gone through the campaign thing, so I won't ask you any further questions because I can guess that this has been a tough week and an even longer evening for you. So moving on from that, now that you've finally got the role, congratulations. What are you going to do with it?
So my 4 main priorities are tackling sexual violence on campus, so working to implement a comprehensive action plan with the SU and working with feminist groups to tackle spiking on campus, as well as trying to lobby the uni to hire more independent sexual violence advisors. My second priority is fighting against extortionate rent and living costs. So I'm going to try and lobby the uni for a 3-year rent freeze, as well as continue to empower students who want to organise themselves as tenants, as we have done over the past few years. And then fighting racism and university complicity in ongoing structures of colonialism and neo-colonialism, as I've been doing in society work over the last few years. And then finally, and I think this is one which really was quite a really important policy and important priority for the student body, which was to improve mental health support at uni and to increase the funding which is spent on mental health by the uni. It's like currently only, this is 2016 figures, but only £12 per student on mental health services, whereas Oxford spends like 50. So this is something which we can really work to change, and I look forward to actually working on all these priorities. Yeah.
They're great priorities. I have a couple of follow-up questions, if that's okay. With your first point, it sounds great. I'd love to hear a bit more about the practical implementations of that. As a law student, I was involved over the summer with some research into sexual violence across a couple of campuses, including Warwick. So I'd be interested in the practical elements you really want to bring into that, rather than just saying we want to increase this. And with the mental health support, how you're proposing to the university that we reprioritise the money that the university has to spend on mental health, and with that money, yes, when we have the value, but what do you specifically want it to go towards? What's the most important? Yes, mental health is really important, but what do you see as like the biggest issue that this money could really benefit students with?
Yeah, so on the first point about tackling sexual violence and spiking, I think we have to go to the root of the problem, which is the kind of violent patriarchal culture which exists on campus. So I think working to sort of reform the education which freshers receive and the kind of messaging which is given out, because a lot of people sort of just tick through the whole Dignity at Warwick stuff and then go on without it really meaning anything. And then also materially actually having like anti-spiking devices in all SU outlets and trying to promote those to wider nights out across Coventry and Leamington, and also in general just like a campaign against spiking in terms of like a visual and educational campaign, and really enforcing the fact that there is zero tolerance for this on campus. And then also one of the other points about tackling sexual violence is and something that a lot of people don't know about is the use of non-disclosure agreements which are being used to silence survivors, which is contrary to the advice of NUS and even the current government, who have basically said that this is not something which should be used. And then in terms of mental health, yeah, it's important to be specific. I think one of the issues that I found with wellbeing is that there's whilst the services are good and work for some people, there's quite a narrow range of services that are offered. So more individualized therapy and more specialist therapy for different kinds of trauma and different kinds of issues which people are facing. And making it just easier for students to access that process instead of being having to go through a lot of bureaucracy to get to it.
Well, these are some great ideas, and I really hope you get to implement as many of them as possible over the next year. You seem like you have a busy year ahead of you. Just one question before you go. What are you most looking forward to doing?
What am I most looking forward to doing? Just fighting for the welfare of students, really. And actually showing students that change is possible and that somebody in the SU is actually willing to fight for the interests of all students, including marginalised students.
Thanks so much. Thank you for taking time to interview, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you. Cheers.
Tommy, our new Welfare and Campaigns Officer, thank you very much. I'm going to take my seat on the sofa now. Do you know what? This is going quite well, isn't it? I'm enjoying it.
We can relax.
We can relax for a bit. The show's going well. We're getting through the elections, and of course, a lot of people finding out their new student officer team. Of course, it's a big moment every year to really see just who's going to be representing them and who's going to be having a great time next year. Whilst we're here, though, of course, this sofa, I think this sofa is big enough for 3 people.
Depends who it is.
It does depend who it is.
Are we getting a good guest on, though, Cam?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they may think they're good enough to do it. I don't know. I like them. Should we bring them on?
I like them a lot.
No, we'll bring him on. Of course, this weekend it is.
He's not going to come on now.
No, he's going to hide away from me. I love Will. He is, of course, Will Kingswood is our head of sports here at Raw 12:51 a.m. And he is, of course, as well, leading our varsity coverage this weekend. Of course, it is varsity here in Warwick SU this weekend. Of course, our annual thrashing of Coventry University in sports. We've been doing it for the last 30 years. Well, Will, you do not want to be the first head of sport who covers the first loss to Coventry in nearly 30 years. But in general, how are you feeling about varsity?
I'm feeling good. I think we've got some good teams. Obviously, we've got the basketball, the showcase tonight. Unfortunately, we couldn't be covering that because we're here covering the big decision. But yeah, no, I think we have got a good chance. Obviously, we don't want to be the first year to lose. Have we ever lost?
I'm not sure. Not in living memory.
Yeah, I'm not having that. So up your game, people.
Talk to us maybe a little bit more about the coverage, specifically what we're doing on Raw this weekend, because of course we have a lot going on campus, loads and loads of sports, but Raw is covering a very specific few. Tell us really what's taking place this weekend.
So tomorrow we have our live visual, probably the showcase event of our coverage. We are doing netball in the Sports Hub. It starts at 4 and we'll be streaming it live on our YouTube, on Facebook as well. So make sure to either come along to the event, come and see it live, or watch it on there. And then on Sunday, we have our audio event. We're doing, starting off with ladies hockey at 1 o'clock, before moving on to mixed hockey at 3 o'clock. That one will be live on Raw 12:51 a.m. It'll be a good game. I think I interviewed both the netball and the hockey presidents today, and they both seem confident. They both seem they seem confident. They seem up for it, and hopefully we can get, 3 wins out of 3 for our coverage.
Hopefully we'll beat you, Coventry, who are definitely listening on the big screen. Any Coventry students preparing for the game on the big screen right now, watching our SU Elections, we're after you. We're gonna win.
Mildly threatening,
Rebecca. We're confident. If we lose for the first time in 30 years, someone somewhere is going to play this clip back, and I look forward to that.
I'm not having a.
So we've got that coming up over the weekend, but of course you've got a sports show on Raw 12:51 a.m. every Monday already. So what have you got coming up on the Monday? What kind of interviews and packages can we expect? Do we know what kind of games that are going to be covered on that show?
You can expect my expert analysis of all the football that happens every week. So yeah, we cover what happens in the football. We cover all the games at the weekend. We'll probably do some of the Champions League as well, some of the Europa League, some of the UEFA Conference League, and we just talk about that. And then also on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock, we have our daily or our weekly Warwick F1 show. So I work with the Warwick F1 Society to put that out. Obviously, it's the off season. We're at 1 hour at the moment, but as soon as we are getting back into the season with testing just finishing as well, it's getting closer and closer. And our week 10 special will be 2 hours as we dive into it and maybe have a bit of a better idea about who could potentially be challenging for the
you're looking right at me at this right now, because you're talking exactly my language. So, of course, plenty going on Raw Sports as well, plenty going on at Raw as well. Of course, not to fulfil the society self-promo this evening, but
is that not what we're doing?
But it's a little bit what we're doing. But of course,
it's the only reason I'm here.
Tell us a little bit, just joining Raw and joining societies in general. You're not just involved in Raw, you're involved with mixed hockey as well. You're involved with a lot of sports and societies on campus. Just really, for a lot of students, what does that involvement in these sports clubs and societies really mean, and how important is it?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, in first year, or in my first year at least, we couldn't really do much. Obviously, there were all the lockdowns, there were all the restrictions in place. I got quite lucky. I have a very good flat that I got on really well with, but I know for a lot of people, they might have struggled with that, especially if you didn't get put in a flat with people you did get along with. And going into my second year, having that option to go to societies, go to sports, has really opened up just new avenues of interaction with people. There are so many people that I would never have met at Raw, at mixed hockey, that I now get along so well with. And without the societies, without the sports, you wouldn't get that. And to be honest, that's sort of what it was like last year. You didn't really get that interaction. But if you are looking for new friends, maybe you haven't quite clicked with people on your course, in your accommodation, then either just go to a sport that you did before, go to a society that you did before, or just have a look at some of the more niche ones. I know when I started, I didn't think I didn't think about joining the radio. It didn't never even cross my mind that there would be a student radio. But then obviously I got involved through the 2020 election coverage, and I just kept, it got more and more interesting. I just kept going. I think the key is finding that one you're interested in. It's so far out. It can be so far outside the box sometimes. Sometimes it's about who you meet there. Sometimes it's about what you do there. And I think you get as much out of it as you put in.
That's great, Will. And as someone who's also in their second year, we had similar experiences in first year of not really being able to connect with societies at all, or with people. Like I did a bit with Raw, but being in person with Raw, you learn that it's completely different to my first perspective. And you being more of a part of Raw this year as well, like we've seen that. And it's great to hear that you're doing your show with the F1 Society, like cross-society connections, I think feeds into what you were saying with societies. And it's important to have that overlap because it brings Warwick together and it helps people meet other people and go, oh, maybe I'm interested in F1 Society, maybe I'm interested in Raw sort of thing. And it's great to see that you're doing that and the work you're doing. And I hope that Raw and other sports societies this weekend see a lot of crossover and looking forward to what's coming out of Varsity.
Indeed. Well, one last question from me, Will. I've got to say, obviously, Varsity, just very quickly, of course, we are going to be covering it here on Raw this weekend. Where can people find all the things they need to know about Varsity? Where can they find our coverage? And when exactly, of course, are we covering?
So obviously tomorrow we've got our live event, so we'll be on YouTube and Facebook streaming, hopefully, as long as nothing goes wrong. Obviously, you can find it on the Raw Sport Facebook page, on the Raw Sport YouTube channel. And, yeah, and then on the Sunday, we've got our audio event, so we'll be live on the radio.warwick.ac.uk. You can find it there. We potentially in the works for some more coverage options. We'll be putting out clips on Twitter, but potentially maybe some Instagram lives for some of the games. Depends. It's still in the works. It was a bit of a new idea that I had today.
Literally today, I was there when he came up.
My brain was whirring. My brain was clicking.
It's a dangerous thing, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. But yeah, we've got working on that. Wait and see. But at the moment, definitely going out on the radio.warwick.ac.uk, and hopefully there should be some good games, should be some good point scoring, and should be some good Warwick winning.
Well, let's celebrate this weekend the annual thrashing of Coventry University. Will Kingswood, Head of Sport at Raw, thank you very much. And now, of course, this is the big decision. We have got just 3 full-time officer roles left to go. But firstly, a little bit of visual for you.
10.
The Big Decision 2022.
9.
For democracy.
For democracy!
For democracy.
Yes!
For the student voice.
8.
This week has been your chance to get your vote heard for the SU student elections
7.
to help you have your say in how the student union supports you in the next academic year.
6.
The SU does represent you, and as sabbatical officers, remember it's a paid position, and they have a lot of power, and so you should be caring about who is in charge of that and who's standing up for you as a student.
5.
Try to get people to be involved in the democracy process, to show them why it's important to make their own choices in their own university.
4.
After a week of campaigning, it's time for the results to come in. Candidates and their teams have worked tirelessly over the last week to secure as many votes as they can. And for 7 candidates, all that hard work is about to pay off.
3. Over the last week, you have been voting for your new student officer team. Well, tonight is the night.
2.
Join us for the big decision as we take you through all of the results, plus take a look back over some highlights from the last week. 1.
The Big Decision with Rebecca Cole and Cam Hall, live on Raw 12:51 a.m.
Welcome back to the Big Decision 2022. Oh, I was going to say 2020. It's definitely not 2020. We're definitely not doing this online. We are in the SC building, as you can see, and if you're on the piazza, we are on the big screen, which is going to be my face like this times bigger, which is super exciting. We've had such a great time, but we've still got some elections results to announce, and next up for results, we have the Democracy and Development Officer race. As we heard from the current DDO officer earlier, which was a great chat. I assume everyone's going to agree that it was fun to have them on. But if you've missed that, a bit of what they're responsible for, they're responsible for the function of SU's democracy, which means helping with a lot of things to initiate and ensure compliance with the SU's democracy process and democracy policies. Amongst their development responsibilities, they will oversee the training of SU commercial operations, development issues, including housing and transport, and working on sustainability projects within the SU. So to announce the result, let's please welcome back our current DDO officer, Jacob Jefferson.
So I'm Jacob, your Democracy and Development Officer. I've had an amazing year. Half a year, but I will have an amazing year in the end of DDO. But it obviously has to come to an end. And I'm delighted to announce that my successor as Democracy and Development Officer is Jack Sperry.
Cheers, Jacob. Cheers. Well, I think Warwick just got Mary for Sperry. I'd like to thank my campaign team who worked tirelessly over the week, and I mean tirelessly. My campaign manager, Harry G. And I'm really looking forward to getting started as DDO on day one to build that cheaper, safer, and yes, greener campus. So thank you very much, Warwick. Thank you.
And as he joins on the sofa there, I can confirm that Jack Sperry won in the final round with 1,145 votes, followed by Sophie Clark with 1,031 votes. Cam, over to you on the sofa.
Well, Warwick has got Mary for Sperry, and I am now getting Mary with Sperry. Congratulations, Jack. Firstly, of course, you mentioned your campaign manager there, obviously. Harry, anyone else you'd like to thank?
Lancelot, he was very, very much out there, getting everyone out and about. Caleb, he was great. Luke was great. Tom Garth was amazing. And if I forget other people, I'm really sorry, but my mind's gone blank.
You'll have to do as Steve Redgrave and come back 11 years later and thank them all.
Don't worry, they will be rewarded.
At least you've not forgotten your significant other. That's the most important thing
exactly.
Like he did. So, of course, plenty happening on campus this week. Of course, as the DDO, you'll be running elections next year.
Yeah.
So how have you found the elections this year, especially these being the first proper in-person elections we've had in a couple of years?
Well, I like the change from first year. There's less cardboard used, but that means when the cardboard that is used is seen more.
It's more sustainable.
It's more sustainable, although it might have resulted in more paper. Although I think maybe we do need to change the system of how we vote on the website, because I think a lot of people I know had issues with that, and I think we need to change that.
Well, of course,
to make it more accessible.
Yeah, a lot obviously taking place this week. Obviously, something as well for you, as you've said, really been on the ground, talking to people throughout the week as well. You've mentioned so many key priorities there, obviously democracy and development, a lot of them very tied into each other. But starting off with the democracy side of things, what are your main goals, or what are the main things you want to achieve in the democracy brief?
So we want to make the SU more accessible, more present in people's lives. And so we're going to start it with SU officer pop-ups around campus, so people can come to them, complain to them, bring up what their issues are so they can be directly addressed. And I think people will start realising that what the SU does is truly important when they can really speak to the SU officers.
No, absolutely. It's a very important thing indeed. And of course, moving on to the development side of things, development's always that one kind of thing that's very ambiguous. It's very vague.
Yes.
Get through the ambiguity, get through the vagueness. What is Jack Sperry going to be doing to develop campus?
So it's around the commercial parts of it. I think, especially post-COVID, yes, they need to, we had to slowly get back into it. We couldn't have maybe, low prices as we want because the SU just need to recover. But now that we're getting out of COVID, we can bring back happy hour, or as it was called, bus stop, so we can have those cheaper drinks, because honestly, that is a fundamental part of a student's life, socialising, whether it be soft drinks or alcoholic drinks.
Indeed, of course, bus stop was something I know I certainly took advantage of a lot in first year. Of course, you mentioned the commercial side of things there, so I just have to ask you the most important commercial question that everyone on campus is thinking right now. What changes are you going to recommend to Disco Dave's playlist, or are you going to keep it exactly as is right now?
Disco Dave is a tradition at Warwick. And, he's a far smarter guy than I am. I don't think I could recommend too many things. However, at the start of the year was a bit dodgy. He has got back on track, and you know what? I think he's doing great.
Well, perhaps he will certainly... Well, Disco Dave will be getting equally merry with Sperry.
Okay, maybe more Avril Lavigne songs.
Avril Lavigne songs. Skater Boy, Girlfriend, both of those.
They're always
maybe?
there, but let's go to the real good ones.
Ooh.
Complicated.
Oh, that is a class song. But before we start standing Avril Lavigne too much tonight, Jack, I've got to ask you one last question. It's day one. You're in August. You're going into the office. You've been to Pret. You've taken out the self-portraits. I don't know what else you do. You'd plug all your 500 laptops in if you've got 500 laptops. But most importantly, what are you going to be doing on that first day?
Talking to the commercial team and how we can make Warwick a cheaper place for students.
Well, Jack Sperry, congratulations, our new Democracy and Development Officer.
Thank you very much.
Well, rapturous applause for Jack Sperry. Rapturous applause for Jack Sperry as he leaves here. We've still got your Deputy President, the Education Officer, and your SU President still to come. But, of course, it has been a long week here at Warwick. There's been plenty going on around campus on social media and, of course, here on Raw 12:51 AM and with our friends at the Boar as well. And to put it into 2 minutes is extremely difficult. It's a task that we just couldn't really do. But we did. Take a look at this.
Welcome to the second hustings to this year's SU Spring Elections. Candidates will be given the floor for 2 minutes to make opening speeches, and then we'll of course be opening questions up to the floor.
If elected, my aim will be to help societies to recruit and regrow, as many are struggling to bring new faces in, fill exempt positions, or maintain healthy cultures of work-life balance, whilst working with limited numbers to keep their societies going.
Changes like increasing circle allocations for societies because SOCs haven't been able to get enough this year, getting rid of some of the paperwork which just makes it more difficult to do anything that societies want to do.
Welcome back to the big decision here. We are down now to the last 2 positions. We're getting to the crunch time, the business end of the stream tonight. And can I say first, it's been fantastic to have your company so far. And as ever, please do get involved on social media using the hashtags Big Decision 2022 and Warwick SU Elections 22 as well. Well, plenty more still to come. Let's move on now to the Education Officer. Now, the Education Officer is also the Deputy President of the SU. They are responsible for ensuring that the curriculum is, of course, worked towards the students' needs as much as possible, particularly and most recently working on things like liberating the curriculum as well, ensuring that students' academic needs are sufficiently met, representing this to the university. I hope I've done a good job with that. If not, our current Education Officer and Deputy President, Isabel Atkins, will be able to tell me that I've done a terrible job. Did I do a good job?
No, just lecture capture. That's always the crux of it.
Lecture capture, exactly. Isabel, you've got a big job now. You are announcing your successor, so over to you.
And I have the absolute pleasure of announcing the next Education Officer and Deputy President as Qishang Lo.
Qishang making his way out now. Congratulations. If you take Isabel's microphone. Congratulations, Qishang, our new Education Officer. I'll give you the chance now. Talk to the camera. Talk to that camera. That camera. Anything you'd like to say?
I want to thank my campaign team, especially David, for helping me through this entire week. It's been incredibly tiring. And also sometimes working me to 3 a.m. making TikToks on this stupid social media thing. Oh my God, I don't know what to say about that, to be honest. But
3 a.m. TikToks are always the best thing.
True. Well, yeah, I want to thank my entire campaign team on helping me, and I can't wait to get started on making sure that education works for everyone at Warwick, for all students.
Well, Qishang, thank you very much. If you make your way over to the sofa now, I can tell you that Qishang won in the first round of voting. Well, it's time to talk to your new Education Officer and Deputy President. Qishang Lo is with Rebecca.
hello. I was looking forward to this because I will give a bit of context to this. Obviously, you've been Societies Officer for the last year. With others, I didn't really know them, but with you, there are two things that spring to mind, and I want to know, map out how this is going to, these things in your current role have prepared you for the future role. Two key things that stuck out in my mind is the times we've met is the time you sang Barbie Girl in Freshers Week on Raw 12:51 AM, the karaoke, and the time I had to do a portrait for you for Taskmaster for Charity Week at Raw. So those are the two things that I feel like bring out the best in your role, I feel, as Society Officer. All joking aside, how are you feeling about going from that role into this?
I don't know, to be honest. I think it's a bit of a step because societies are it's quite different. You know, dealing with society is quite different to sort of dealing with education because, like, societies is quite...
More connected with what you were doing as a student, perhaps.
I guess, yeah, but like, yeah, pretty much. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think pretty much, but like I think it's like a jump which I'm prepared for in that sense because I think, and as I said, like during term one, I did quite a lot of the education officer role, sort of actually sitting on committees and actually consulting with university sort of people about sort of educational needs of Warwick students. So I think that's going to help me prepare for this new role, and and even though it seems like quite a jump, I don't think it should be all right in that sense.
Yeah, it sounds great. What are you looking forward to doing with the role? What does it entail for you?
I don't know. I think the main thing is probably trying to engage students more into the education sort of system. So like I think one thing which has sort of been lacking is sort of SU engagement with SSLCs. I think that link has sort of disintegrated over the last term for various reasons, and I think that's something which the SU should I will at the very least sort of re-engage directly, and that's something which I'm looking forward to, seeing what students actually say about their education and sort of acting on their sort of needs. So
that's a great issue you've picked up on. So I see that real practical implementation of change there. Are there any other key issues you want to bring up for the audience that you're looking to solve or change in the coming year?
I think one thing is student well-being in relation to education. I think one issue which I heard a lot whilst I was campaigning was like issues about self-certification and sort of the importance of sort of keeping that policy in for all students, and also pushing for some departments to even introduce it because some departments don't have it, for example. And I think that's like one sort of key plank I will sort of work on in the next year.
And we'll step back from education officer for a moment. In terms of, I didn't say it to embarrass you with the whole Barbie Girl story. I just like the story. I hope you don't mind. But in terms of the fact that you have been here for a year, for those who are watching who are potentially like, maybe I'll go for a role in the SU, why have you come back for a second round? What's so great about working for the SU? I'm sure there are great reasons, but what is so great?
I think the staff are really great to work with. I really enjoy working with them. Sorry.
Apart from the fact that most of them are stood watching you in person right now.
Like they're really enjoyable to work with, and it's something I look forward to in my new role. Also, it's nice being at Warwick, sort of like just staying where I am with a lot of my social groups and stuff like that. So that's also another reason. So
lots with that. Looking forward to. To be fair, I am in this building most days with Raw, and they all seem really nice. And having that kind of security of the same building and everything seems great. But one thing, it could be your role, could be working in the SU, could be something you want to change this year. What's the one thing that you're looking forward to most?
I think the one thing I'm looking forward to most is sort of engaging with sort of different people in the sense of, because, societies have to deal with student activities, commercial, and, democracy in some sense. With education, it's totally different. It's like the academic voice team, and with university sort of academics and, the rep system. I think sort of going into that and sort of exploring these different groups, I think it's something I'm quite looking forward to, like in full earnest in this sense, as a full role.
Yeah, that sounds great. One more question before you go, and thank you so much for this chat. For those watching who have understood from a personal perspective the issues you've picked up on in education, what's one thing you want to ensure students or future students at Warwick that you're going to try and give a voice to or give a change to in the next year?
I think the main thing is basically making sure that students feel supported in their education studies and feel like the education that they receive doesn't necessarily work against them, but works for them. So I think, I know anecdotally, I listened to a lot of my friends and a lot of the people I spoke to, they sort of struggle, constant issues of workload and stuff. And that's something I really want to sort of tackle and sort of make sure that students really, they should, enjoy their university life. They shouldn't sort of be suffering from immense workloads and pressures. And it's something I think I can sort of, I want to work with basically, and sort of ensuring that student well-being is improved in that relation.
Thanks so much. What a great way to end the chat. Thank you so much for coming, and congratulations for the win today.
Cheers. Thank you.
Congratulations to Xishang, the new Education Officer and Deputy President of Warwick Students' Union. Well, it's the big one, folks. The President is next here. We've gone through all the part-time officers. We've gone through all but one role of the full-time officers. And can I say, firstly, it's been an absolute pleasure so far having you tune in. Stick around. We've just got one more role to go now. And it is the one that I think many of you have been waiting for. Who will be following in the footsteps of Ben Newsham, Luke Mepham, Shingai Zumbira, all the SU presidents that I've had since I've been here? Who will be our next SU president? But before we get to that, being SU president is a big role. It's a role that covers everything in the SU. It's a role that really allows you to do a lot of change. And to really put that into perspective, to really put that into words, there's no one better to do it than two former people who've been in this position, who've been president, and have known exactly what to do. Well, take a look at this. Two former presidents got back to us here at Raw. This is their time as the SU presidents.
Hello there, Luke, last year's SU president here, and I just wanted to wish all of the candidates in this year's spring election the best of luck.
The next president of Warwick Students' Union is Luke Mepham.
And there's so much opportunity to make change in all of these officer roles. For example, when I was an officer last year, it was the depth of the COVID pandemic, so I spent a lot of my time trying to make sure that the university was properly supporting all those students in self-isolation, both on campus and in the local area, and also making sure that the right mitigation package was there to support with student studies, and also making sure societies and sports clubs were able to get back on campus and doing their activities as soon as possible.
Hi there, so my name is Ben Sandell. I was the Warwick SU president from 2013 to 2014.
The winner is Ben Sandell.
We had some amazing achievements at the time, securing the university funding for recorded lecture technology, which then went on to be implemented. We got them to put microwaves around campus, which we knew saved students money. Set up a partnership with the NHS to bring CBT to students and kind of improve the mental health provision on campus. And setting up a social action campaign as well in the local area.
Thank you to everyone who voted for me, everyone I've spoken to in halls. You've all been lovely. It's been so great to meet you all. And I can't wait to represent you all, and I can't wait to work for you all over the next year. And I really, really hope that I do you all proud.
So there were some things that I was really, really proud of. Really enjoyed working with the staff at the university and at the SU. They're a cracking team. And also, even more importantly, working with the student body. And kind of, you meet so many amazing people. It's such a great experience.
I love the student union at Warwick. I love the way that the societies and the sports and the democracy give students the opportunities to express themselves and to learn new skills. I really, really felt that it was an organisation that I wanted to be part of leading because of what it did for the young people, for the students.
Thank you so much to everybody who's voted. I really feel I went in this because I wanted to make a difference, and I promise you I will not let you down.
So I just think there's so many amazing things that you can do in that position to help the students of Warwick and help the local community. So yeah, just go for it. Keep focused on those outcomes, and you can help a lot of people and have an absolutely great year. Whoever gets elected, good luck to you all.
So yeah, I hope whoever's elected makes the most of it, has an amazing time, and wish you all the best of luck. See you soon.
Welcome back to the big decision. It's coming up to 9:30, and yes, it is the big one of Big D. It is the next SU president. We've been waiting for this moment all evening, but we are here to announce the successor to Shingai Zumbira.
Yeah, we are really looking forward to this. Obviously, it's the big one. We finally got to the last result on Raw 12:51 AM. Keep sending in your hashtags. Keep commenting on the live stream and watching out for everything that's got coming up with Raw. But without further ado, do you want to go through a bit of what the SU president will be up to this year?
A bit of what the SU president does. Indeed, the SU president really encompasses everything, pretty much, inside the SU, whether that's sitting on the university council, talking to the university, leading the sabbatical officer and part-time officer team as well. Of course, making sure that they are ensuring all full-time officers and part-time officers can fulfil their manifesto pledges and working on many of their own campaigns as well. They really are the public face of the student body, one of the first people that you meet as well when you come onto campus as well.
A key point in that actually is we have seen the value, we have asked the key points of what these officers really want to bring to the role, and it's now the SU president's job to work with them and see what they can do with it, which is really exciting because we've seen some great practical steps that these officers want to take, PTOs and the full-time roles, and we're really looking forward to seeing what this president has to offer.
Indeed, well, without any further ado, let's welcome our current president to the podium, Shingai Zumbira.
Hello. It is a great honor and a pleasure to announce our next SU president, Will Brewer.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Shingai. I'm taking over from someone that is also a very good president. Firstly, I would like to thank my campaign team, one, for putting up with me being quite bossy this week, and two, for doing quite a lot of campaigning when I had to do some varsity things as well. They've honestly all been absolutely amazing. Also got to give a big thank you to Lily as well. She's been helping me out so much all this week and has been there for me the whole week as well. Honestly, the next big thank you has to be to sports. I know that you've all come out and massively supported me, and I know that there's things that you want me to do as president, and I can guarantee you I am going to do them. I am going to make sure that sport gets the respect it deserves, and I'm going to make sure that our issues are actually heard. Equally, I think that as a sports president here, I think that there are a lot of things that we can take from sports, and we can really bring our values, our teamwork, our ethics of how we work, and bring that to the SU and bring that to the whole of the student community. We have some really great values that we can share, and I think that we need to share them across campus. Sport is all about working together and having a team, and that is what I want. I want everyone to have an SU that they feel a part of, that they feel like we're one united team. So thank you to everyone who voted and everyone who came out. I really appreciated it. I honestly hated every second of campaigning. So there was not one bit I liked. I am a sports guy at heart, and that is not my vibe. But the fact that all of you wanted to come out and vote, that is brilliant. So thank you very much.
Well, as Will makes his way over to the sofa, I can tell you that Will Brewer won in the final round of voting with 1,362 votes. Sophie Kitching coming in second place with 938. Well, as you can see, Will has joined us dressed in for a slightly different scene tonight. How was varsity before
really
we start?
Really repping the sports there.
Well, all I'm going to say is that if we do lose varsity this year, you've already elected me, so sorry. Not going to lie, though, great turnout of varsity. Thank you for everyone who went to that and didn't come to this. Well done. Really appreciate it. Really good vibe down there, and I'm missing a really incredible basketball match to be here.
Well, all I would say for everyone who's been tuning in to us tonight, you made the right decision. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I hope you being here and you enjoying the games is a sign that Team Warwick is really doing well this evening. But less on sports and more on SU President. What are you excited to bring to the role?
Simplicity. I am a very simple man. I look at things. No big words. Like, we keep it simple, keep it to the point. You know, there are people that I even purposely take my signature off my email because I know it'll annoy them because it's too long. I think that really we just need to focus on doing the basics right. That is like, we just need to, and honestly, we just need to look at everything and go, either that's silly, that's stupid, change it, or, you know, look through it and go, yeah, that works.
So with that silly, that stupid, change it, what kind of issues are you facing that you want to change?
I think there's some very basic governance things that we need to be looking at within the SU and within the university. I think, you know, there's some very long drawn out processes that students have to deal with. I think we can start there. Additionally, I think there is a real big case for very often in the role that I've been in at the moment, we seem to be consulted after the fact about the university doing something. Since the university is, you know, all about students, realistically, if there is a change happening, we should be leading that, and we should be the beginning of any change that is happening. And that's what I want to see. I want to see us starting things. I want to see us bringing projects to the university and saying this is something we want you to work on.
And of course, you mentioned, of course, working with the university there. That is obviously you are the main representative of students to the university. How are you going to use that position to benefit the student community more widely?
So I think I've done a lot of work this year actually building up really good relationships with a lot of people in the university. I think I've got the respect of quite a lot of people in the university. I sit on a lot of weird committees that I don't think a sports officer usually sits on. And if they did, I feel really bad for some of them. But honestly, I think that we need to work with the university where appropriate. I think that building those relationships, having those good relationships, I think we can get a lot more done that way. However, if they're going to dig their heels in on a point, I'm more than prepared to dig my heels in and challenge that until it's fixed.
Indeed, and of course, you really mentioned digging in there, putting students' needs first, of course. For students now, going perhaps from talking to the university, talking to students, you, of course, will be the first, perhaps, big student face that a lot of freshers will meet in Freshers Week when they go to the Welcome Talk. You will be a very important face for representing students around the whole of campus, someone that students will want to turn to have their issues represented. How are you going to best ensure that students' issues are represented, and what are you going to do to approach them over the next year?
So one of my big campaign points is I think that we need an SU that is not so stuck in this building. So I want to be a president that is out there and doing, being visible. I think that it's really important that I don't just go to that welcome talk that we all know everybody definitely doesn't go to. I know in my first year it was at 9 a.m. That's already a bad start. So I think that it's also really important to make sure that we get sabbatical officers. Myself, if I can be at all of them, I will be. The academic inductions, and actually get students knowing that the SU1 exists and what we do. I think that is a massive part, and then I've talked too long, I can't actually remember the original question.
That's actually great, though, if you don't mind me jumping in there, especially as someone who joined in the COVID year last year, like seeing what the SU did was a tricky position, and coming into in person this year, especially being in SU HQ a lot with Raw, I'm understanding it a bit more. But I saw on the campaign that you ran the point of getting out there and being an SU president in the rest of the university and the rest of the community. And I really respected that comment, and hearing you say I want to go to the academic talks and I want to actually reach the students, because not all of them are going to go to a 9 a.m. presentation at the start of the year, is really respectable, and I can't wait to see that change and to see where you take the SU quite literally around campus. On that kind of thing you want to do, and I see you as quite I forget the word, but very open to opportunities that you can express as a president. What opportunities are you going to put forward as president? What sort of things would you like the SU to do more of?
So I think firstly the SU needs to do more of actually getting conversations with students and conversations with student groups. A lot of the work I've done this year has been as a sports officer, you tend not to have very many things in your calendar, and you sort of build your own calendar. And you know, I don't like doing everything over email. I like doing things in person. I think we need to move a lot more to doing things in person where we can and where students are comfortable having those meetings and really getting an understanding and building relationships with particular student groups. I think we need to do a lot more of that. And that will help us work together as a whole to actually make changes that students really want to see.
And with those particular student groups, could you give examples of what you mean? Which student groups are you looking?
So in particular, part-time officers, liberation groups, like the very vocal groups that we already have, the ones that actually represent larger groups as well. It's really important to make sure that we get their voices heard, and that we can have those talks where we can really understand each other and where each other is coming from, so that we can work better together.
Indeed. Just time for a couple more questions, Will. Firstly, it's your first day in the office. You've got in, you're Mr. President. You can put the badge on the desk and say, I'm Mr. President. You can go to Pret, take out your self-portraits. But what is the first thing you're going to do when you get in the office?
Go in the sports office and steal the chocolate out of Megan's drawer for breakfast. That will be the very first thing I do.
I think that's the first honest answer we've had all evening.
Yeah. The next thing I'm going to do is, quite frankly, I think the next thing I need to do is sit down with those people, find out where I need to go. I'm a bit like a sort of a bull in a china shop. Point me where to go, and I'll go there and I'll fix it. I'm very much like a fix-it man. You give me a problem, I take it away, I go away and fix it. To be honest, there's a lot of work I've been doing as sports officer that's not very sport focused, and I want to really continue with some of that as well. In particular, the Good Night Out campaign that's involved accrediting nighttime venues in tackling sexual misconduct and discrimination, and that training is sort of starting, and we've funded the training for those venues now, but I want to make sure that that continues in our area and make sure that they re-accredit every year. And additionally, I actually want to work with other students' unions about what we did and try and make that happen across the country as well. Tell them how we made it happen, and then see if they can make it happen too. Because I think that a lot of the issues we deal with, other students' unions deal with quite a lot as well, and that we can really help everyone out. My focus will be on our students, but that is a real key thing that I want to work on. And additionally, I've got a lot of schemes that I've piloted this year that have worked, some that haven't, and I want to make sure that they are also continued into next year.
That's a really important particular campaign that you've brought up there, and something I did a bit of research for the uni. So I understand the perspective of trying to see it working in the long term, SU to SU, bringing it into something that stays at Warwick. But also I looked at how universities and other universities surrounding Warwick deal with that, and you saying that you want to connect with these other SUs and bring this up and implement the changes that's worked at Warwick is really important, and it's a really great sign of a great president, and I'm looking forward to seeing that next year.
Indeed, and perhaps one last question to end, or maybe a lighter note now. You were in Pop on Wednesday, of course, it's Varsity Pop, and you had, I'd say, the honour of wearing the sports officer bear. Are you going to start a tradition of a costume for the SU president to wear at any, we'll say Varsity Pop or maybe Big Decision Pop? I can see Mark Barnum, our venue manager, is looking straight at us right now, I think very intrigued. What new animal are you hoping to dress up as and bring into the SU next year?
I would say, given my previous in this animal, and my own club would probably kill me if I didn't say this animal, it's going to have to be a penguin, but it's going to have to be one that gets washed a bit more often than the current penguin does. I think a penguin would be great.
Thanks for that. Do you mind if I jump in with two very quick questions? I won't continue more of your time because I know you've got to get back to varsity. One, what's your biggest value that you want to stress throughout all the work you're doing in the next year? And two, for those watching and listening, what's one thing you want to ensure the next year of students that you're going to put into the role as SU president?
The value I think that we all need to focus on is respect. And in terms of Sorry, what was the second question?
What do you want, the one thing that you want to ensure students you're going to put forward, or how you're going to act as SU president?
Turn up to work and keep working until the job's done.
Indeed. Well, Will Brewer bringing penguins to pop and a lot more into the SU next year. Ladies and gentlemen, your new SU president, Will Brewer.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, Rebecca, I hate to break it. That's it for the evening.
We're all done now.
We are all done. Can I say it's been an absolute pleasure having you here this evening, tuning in to the stream throughout the evening. It's been fantastic wherever you've been.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much to every single member of the team around us, everyone for voting, filling out the lovely Raw exit poll, everything that's gone on, all the work that's been put into campaigns, but also the big decision. It's been welcome at Raw 12:51 a.m. All of the social media efforts we've put in, the hashtag Big Decision 2022, and everything that's gone on today.
And can I just leave the show with a big thank you from me, of course, as head of news producing the show, to all of the fantastic team that we've had here. I will probably just give a few shout-outs. Charlie Humphrey and Luke Spademan working on the tech. Enoch Makungu helping me out this evening, managing people, to our camera crew, to Max, Izzy, Josh, Simi. We've also had Kenzie helping on throughout the night. I'm going to get Rin as well. I'm going to get slaughtered if I miss anyone's name out. And to Dylan, James, to everyone who's been helping out this evening. It has been amazing. And, of course, the wonderful X1, as ever, working on the social media with Sophie and Naomi as well. It's a real team effort, this big decision, and I am grateful for everyone who's given up their time to help the show this evening and help bring you the SU election results as ever. Safe to say, can't wait till 2023.